Hi friends, welcome to Cozy Gatherings Gratitude Collab. This collab is hosted by myself, Creating with Jovi, and co-hosted by Cindy A. Lewis. Today, this is week 1, and the prompt that we're going to share with you is build your journal. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information of what I have going on here. During 100 Days of Pockets, which is another collab that I am collaborating with Cindy on, I went ahead and I created some pockets using my Printable kit, which is called Cozy Autumn. And so I figured, since I took the time to create pockets, I would go ahead and turn, I glued them in. We're going to turn this into a journal. So building our journal, we have a really good head start, at least I do, because I already have some pockets in some of these. So I figured we'd get started on that. Now, clearly I have a head start, but if you don't, that's okay. I'm going to tell you real easily what you're going to want to do is just grab some scrapbook paper, the Printable kit, I like to print out my kit on the back of scrapbook paper, so you could do that. It's a great way to utilize both and cut it to size. You can see here I am working with a miniature journal. Okay, that's what I'm going to create. And usually journal signature will have 6 to 7 pages in it. Once folded in half, of course, when you count them, it doubles it. I'm not going to go that many because these are really chunky because they have, pretty thick pockets in them. So I'm only going to have 3 pages in mine, plus it's a mini. So if you end up putting pages that are not flat in a mini, and they're kind of fat like this, you'll end up with a super fat journal, which is not a problem. I just don't know if I want a 3-inch journal that only stands, 5 inches tall. So I would say for you, go ahead, grab the kit, the freebies, whatever, print them out on the back of scrapbook paper or not, print them on whatever you want to, print them at the size that you want to work with, and then divide them up into 6 or 7 pieces per signature. And like I have here, so I have 3 signatures here. And then I'm going to think about the cover. So I have this part organized. Now I need to decide on a cover. And then we can sew the signatures in and then work on the journal. But let's think about the cover now. I have some fabrics here and they all remind me of fall. I'll keep this out for tabs or embellishments or whatever. It's just a scrap piece of cream colored cotton fabric. I have this is a small piece too, so I can't make a cover out of it, but since it's orange, we'll go ahead and keep this out, keep it handy. Then I have this, and then I have this. Now this, I feel like the pattern is really large for a small journal. Not that we couldn't use it, but I do feel like the pattern's a little bit big. And then we have this, and this is just very deep and rich. It's purple and gold, and it's got like this bronze color right here. And so I'm really leaning towards using this as my journal cover. I've got 3 pieces of very, very, very thick cardstock. And I don't know if I'm going to need 3 pieces, but I figured while I was getting them, I might as well grab all of them. I wonder if I were to fold this over. Wow. Guys, this is interesting. Okay, I'm going to fold this right in half so I know exactly where the center point is. It's going to be hard to fold because it is so thick. But I'm trying. I just wanted to see if I did this. Could I make a spine? Okay, that's not going to work. It won't give me a thick enough spine to do 3 signatures. Man, it's so close though. Well, you know what? Maybe it will. Actually. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe it will. I'm going to try something, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this signature and I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to come inside. I'm going to come inside from the edge here, and I'm going to draw a line right Let's go like, it's probably about 1/4 inch. There's a line there. And then I'm gonna do that on the other side as well. I'm gonna draw this line about here. Okay, now I'm gonna show you why I did that. All right, so I have the center on the center, but I wanna move it over to this line that I drew on here. I'm lining this up here to make sure everything is straight. And then I'm going to put the ruler up against this white line here and down here. And now we know everything is straight. And now I'm going to score this with my bone folder, okay? And now I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to score this here. These are, like I said, these are about 1/4 inch apart from each other. Let me see if it's exact. Yeah, they're pretty darn close. So they're about 1/4 inch apart from each other, which means this is where I would sew my signatures, signature 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, whatever. So let's go ahead. We're going to fold it first. This is all just to find out if we're able to use just this one piece of really heavy-duty cardstock as a cover. Okay. So if this is how it is, I'm going to grab my 3 little signatures here. So cute. And let's see if it works. It does. Look at that. It's perfect. I like it. It fits. Look, no pages are sticking out or anything. Well, that's great. I thought I was going to have to cut a bunch of stuff and all of that, but I'm not going to have to. So let's grab our fabric. And let's think about this for just a minute. I got to open this up real quick and see what we have going on here. So we've got a couple of different things. We have, let me make sure it's unfolded all the way. I don't think it is it? No, it's not. Okay, super big piece. All right, so this is the back, which is a deep, rich purple, kind of like a plum color, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And on the front we have this, and then we have this, which is real pretty. And then we have this red over here on the edge. And then on the end we have this. So these are all the choices that we have as far as what we want to cut from. And I'm thinking, in order to get the most out of this fabric, I should either take it from this end or the purple end. And you know, I'm really tempted to do the purple, but I also am really tempted to do this bronze color. Choices. Well, let's go ahead and use the purple. All right, my friends, so we just need to figure out where we're going to cut. There's a real nice stitch here that I'm not going to cut through. I'm going to leave that intact. And then there's another stitch going here, which the stitch matches this fabric, so you probably can't see it, but it is there. I'm going to cut here and here, slide this in between the 2 pieces of fabric, and then I'll trim this edge off. That's my plan anyway. I want to give myself about 1/4 inch on this end here and 1/4 inch on this end here. Let's cut it and see how we do. Sadly, this is not the kind of fabric really that you can tear easily. I do love tearing fabric, but this kind of fabric is a little bit fussy when it comes to that sort of thing. Let's flip this over. All right, so I'm hoping this worked out good. If we slide this in right here, hopefully I gave enough room on the edges. I think so. I think that's good. Now I am going to have to trim this, but I don't want to do that until I get this sort of in place the way I want it to be. So I'm thinking, I don't really love to use Fabri-Tac on this kind of material, but I almost think I maybe have to. What are my options? Okay, well my options, I could sew through it, but this cardboard is really, really thick and I don't really want to break a needle. I could, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start, because, you know, the whole bleed through thing with Fabri-Tac, and I hate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with glue stick. What glue stick will do is it'll hold this fabric in place. So if I do decide to use it on my sewing machine, it'll hold steady for me and I don't have to use pins, but it also doesn't seep through. I would never use this as my only source of glue if I was going with glue, but it is great for stabilizing your piece of fabric. Now, I obviously can't glue both sides at the same time because, you know, I can't flip it over and do that. But let's just get it shoved in here the way we want it. The fabric itself is wrinkly anyway, by the design of it, which is great. It lends itself perfectly. Okay, so that side looks real good. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to go ahead and just glue what I can. Now, if I decide ultimately that I'm going to go with Fabri-Tac, I'll just lift up the ends and Fabri-Tac the ends. That's kind of what I'm thinking I'm going to do. Okay, this is on. It feels good. So now that is where I want it, I'm going to need to come in and cut around this edge now. That was the sewn edge. We're going to leave it natural, I guess, if you will. Kind of leave it like a raw edge. And then what I'll do is I will put this fabric aside in case I want to use it to accent any part of the journal. My friends, I have decided I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go in with the Fabri-Tac, and I am going to seal the edge with it. And to make sure we don't get too much bleed through, I'm just going to take it and spread it around with my little spatula here. And that should definitely help with the bleed through. Yeah, that looks great. I don't see too much coming through. And now we're going to do the same thing on this edge. And I'm going to flip it over. I'll do the same thing over here. Friends, an entire section of footage went missing. I don't know if I thought I was recording, but I really wasn't. But at any rate, I put on some gold trim on the outside and this brown trim on the inside. So here's the cover. This is the outside. Super cute with that little leaf right there. I may add something to it, but that will be determined later on. This is the inside, and now I'm going to sew in the signatures. For each signature, you're going to want 3 lengths of your book. Thread your needle. Square up your pages. Make sure they're in order. Make sure nothing is upside down. And add a clip. All right, my friends, this is a 5-inch tall journal. So I have marked 1/2 inch in from the bottom, a 1/2 inch in from the top, and right in the center, which is 2.5. I did that on both signatures. You don't always have to put your little holes in ahead of time, but I'm working with a lot of cardstock, and so it's really thick. So I am going to go ahead and do it ahead of time, right where I put my pencil marks that I had just shown you. So the first signature is done. Go ahead and do the same over here onto the second signature. There we go. Now when we go to push through this, it'll make it easier because remember, this is really thick cardstock, even thicker than this. So at least we've got it through here and it won't be too much of a struggle. Now, I am going to pop this in like this. I'm just going to have a quick look. I want to decide. Let me get that out of the way real quick. Here's our fold. We can see it pretty easily. So I think what I'd like to do is you want to center it. You want to make sure you look at your papers according to where they are on the, at the edge of the journal. Make sure it's somewhat centered. This looks like a really good spot. I'm going to close this real quick because I want to make sure I know where I want to put this journal in. And I wasn't going to mark it, but this is so dark and this fabric's a little bit slippery. I think I am going to mark it. I want to do my holes just inside of that fold. So I'm going to scoot this back like that. There we go. And I think I'll just draw a line there. Or a little bit of one. Actually, I'm going to just grab one of these, put it down. Okay, there we go. Let's do it like that. That'll make it easy. So now I can just come over here and draw where I want to put the hole. And I could use a marker, like a dark marker if I wanted to. And if I think I have to, I will. All right, we're going to move these out of the way, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and do my holes in advance. That way it should make it a little bit easier for me. There we go. Went ahead and I used my awl to go through these as well. And now we're just going to sew in the signatures. It should be relatively easy. You're going to start by going through your center hole. This is a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, super easy. And you're just going to poke through here. And you're going to pull that string until there's about a few inches hanging out of the bottom. Now we're going to go in through the top. Now you can go in through the bottom if you want to. I just happen to usually go in through the top. It can be a little bit of a challenge when there's fabric, but it will come through. There it is right there. And also back in through the top hole of the pages. Now this is where it can get tricky. Sometimes your needle can almost get lost in here. So when that happens, I'll go page by page and I'll look down here to see if I can see the needle. And I saw it on the first one right here. And now, oh, this is where I like to release this because sometimes using it actually makes it harder to sew in through all of the pages. So since I removed it, did you see how much easier that was? Now we're just pushing that needle through, and now we're going to go through the bottom one and then through the fabric of the book. I'm going to pull that till it feels tight, and then I'm going to go back in through the center. So here we are, and I have to go back through each one of the pages. So far it's looking pretty good, and there we go. Now once you get to this point, the only rule is that you must make sure that you have a piece of waxed thread on either side of that middle piece. And that will keep your knot from going through the spine, okay? Then you're going to check it for tightness. Mine feels good. And then you're going to go ahead and double knot it. I usually do triple knot it. And then I actually come in with something, doesn't really matter what, and I'll squish down that little ball of wax that's in the center. Okay, our first one is done. That's how you sew in a 3-hole pamphlet stitch into your journal. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. If you'd like to learn more about stitching together journals, I have a playlist, and that is exactly what it covers. It covers all different kinds of stitches, the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, 5-hole. It also covers a French stitch. What else? I don't know, a bunch of them, a bunch of fancy stitches. So you can check that out. It's a playlist. And during those videos, I also share how I cover the journals and things like that. I've done a Japanese stab stitch on that playlist. All kinds of fun, unique, different stitches. I also did a binding where it was a no-sew binding where you used glue and you made it like an actual notebook. I loved that one. That was so cool. I had never done anything like that before. And you can tear the pages out if you want, but they're glued in. Yeah, it's really, really neat. All right, so here is our cute little journal. Just trying to get some of that wax thread off there, or some of the wax from the thread. I'll clean that up later. But there's the signatures that got sewn in. And actually, I think I sewed them in so that this leaf ended up on the back, but that's okay. We can go ahead and embellish the front if we want. We'll probably embellish the spine as well. But I just wanted to get started today and basically show you the basics of, putting our little mini journal together. Isn't it so cute so far? Well, I appreciate you guys. Check out Cindy and all of the collaborators. I'll be sure to list them in my description box so you don't miss any gratitude inspiration. Thanks for watching. See you soon.